truth will kill me because Sawusi will be a minister of finance. Nese ministry be edina yabano establish LC manwa. Now kasadia any among ministers na motiwana mu heli sayid. Mu hweni.
Ana we be a bibi wo mo wonim.
Well, but I'm telling you, my reading kakra, and I'm just saying, in principle, Sawuka James said, after forcing, causing financial loss to the state because he established an LC for a ministry. It is not his responsibility to check, say, it is the responsibility of that particular ministry. I will establish an LC on his behalf to check.
And on to the BSS of any.
What you say? Media, Mrs. Awu, you sue and no as causing and causing financial loss to the state. I disagree. Okay. Me must state my position. And I'm so watching but
oh, there be maybe anya facts available.
I know the facts. I know. What you say? I disagree. Because yes, ministers. You are not even empowering anybody to sign anything because they will take a clue from Atufos. It is a whole reform, sir.
But unfortunately, Atufos is in court. He has not been sentenced. So they are okay.
Yeah,
I think so. Obey given the case.
Right. I'm saying court to a young canopy. But me no but my stating my position means I come and here go. I am not against Obi Awam this can no. But the crime be alpha so. Me I've always had a problem with causing financial loss to the state. So I charge it. Honestly.
Government is broke, The people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on another edition of Good Morning Ghana. Today is Thursday, the 20th of March, 2025. My name is Audu Moro, and I'm always happy to come your way with another edition of the show. We say big thanks to the Almighty God for keeping us safe and alive and kicking. To join you one more time with that rare privilege and opportunity with another edition of the show, and also to join the conversation that's happening and taking place in our dear country, Ghana. I'll go straight to the point, or I'll go straight ahead and bring you the front pages of the dailies. And as usual, I'll start with the daily graphic. The daily graphic this morning is reporting, it says government revokes small-scale mining licenses. Action affects permits issued after December 7. Labour Ministry YEA launch work abroad program. NPA boss vows to flush out illegal fuel traders. The Ghanaian Times. War on the Galamsey intensifies. 60 excavators seized. Small-scale mining licenses issued after December 7, 2024 revoked. Bua. Minister outlines measures to improve water supply. Let court determine allegations against the SML, Professor Boedi. NPA boss vows to flush out illegal fuel traders. Daily Guide. IGP Yohono reconstitutes police board. Government revokes small-scale mining licenses. Ahmed Swaleh murder. Court remands suspect. NACOC arrests Nigerian over $2.1 million drugs seized. Anas wins $18 million defamation suit against Kennedy Ejapon in U.S. The new crusading guide, IGP in My Life by Kwesi Yanka. Very interesting article, if you ask me. Turkish government pledges support for Ahafo region. Jakpa raids former Bank of Ghana Governor Addison's residence. Savannah Minister commends Saha Global for water expansion initiative. There's Labour Ministry and YEA launch work abroad program. Don't bastardize prophetic ministry. Prophet Elijah admonishes Ghanaians. In the matter of 277 million suit against government, Cassius Mines releases update. Labour Ministry and YEA launch work abroad program. The Insight. Tema West NDC appeals to President Mahama to nominate Edita Wilson as MCE for Tema West. Venezuela demands immediate repatriation of migrants detained in El Salvador after deportation by Trump under 18th century U.S. law. Nana Kwesi Emisa accused of allegedly disrespecting Central Regional House of Chiefs as fact-finding committee affirms Ebusuapeying Adanse. We will weed out illegal fuel traders. NPA boss vows as national security others join forces to reduce supply leakages, export pumping. The New Republic. Ghana Sierra Leone strengthens bilateral ties. Ghana airport employees call for removal of MD. Ghana's judicial system under fire as Anas Arimaya Anas triumph in the U.S. Frema hot over TUS chop chop. The Daily Democrat. Wejagbawe Assembly members petition Mahama to appoint Wilfred Aite Blangsing as MCE. Amabua orders overhaul of small-scale mining. MPA boards vows to flash out illegal fuel traders. Government launches work abroad program. The Daily Post. Ajua Safo explains how Akufo-Addo was covering corruption. Major shake-up in the police service. IGP overhauls management board. The Daily Searchlight. Military is brutalizing Boko citizens, Mahama Yariga says, as he demands accountability. NACOC arrests a long-time drug target. Government High Court colluding to harass MP Afenyo Makin. It's unjustifiable to introduce new transport fares, Volta GPRTU. MPA boss vows to flash out illegal fuel traders. B&FT. National ID system yet to realize full potential. 2025 budget lauded for tax reliefs others, but concerns over growth, revenue, capex persist. Over 50% of consumers unaware of their rights. ECG bail payments now available on Ghana Pay mobile money platform. APSA Group appoints Kenny Fela as Group CEO. So that's it for the front pages of the newspapers. I'll be right back with my guests who are already seated. Please stay with us, don't go anywhere.
Anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath.
I'm a fat missy way.
Repacho Bantama.
Machasi.
Cycle.
It's her smile.
The fresh breath.
Me Jidisa we use Cal 360 toothpaste. Semikai.
Cal 360 toothpaste.
Reskia. Cal 360 toothpaste. It's a gum protector.
Onim Jom Kasa.
You know what I'm saying?
Cal 360 did the way. It's cool mint. Gives me fresh breath and your confidence booster.
You will see feeling when you know Cal 360 toothpaste.
Happy smile.
Cal 360 toothpaste, anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath. Cal, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
Look around. Home also need a makeover. Oh, mine clearly does. So we went to Ashroom and found the Como collection. It had everything we're looking for and more. Matching furniture for the entire home, designed with you in mind.
Where's Como collection? Dressing up is just a breeze. Always ready with a perfect accessory.
A magic dressing mirror. One look and you're ready to face the world. Or at least the kids.
A bed perfect for young men who want
A table that turns into a treasure chest.
And finally, a sofa with this grand TV unit for family time at home.
Head over to any Ashphone store now and discover the new Como collection. Ashphone, feel it, know it. Energy drink.
Ama, nansi mi cheno wo bin enko ye kwao. Ama ma ye bohu se kontomra akija.
Nansi me hu se me nyo basima kra. Ama me kunu me into kwankwa. Oh you right. Any mo go. Give us GC mixture and any capsules. Ah ye num boom. And wasam na mo kana. E bua emma ene meme nyina. Na ma wo ba ye obesima. Na be ma so aye pemesima. Ya, we be bua wo kunu. Ama ne giant sa wo de hye ne botum. Na wanyinya na ninti sese ni oyi chokmo. Give us BC mixture and a capsule. Achesa.
A pay for a batter, one more menu for one and Quada when you feel to me. Achesa.
my friends, my name is Kelkit's toothpaste.
Wow.
I was made to be gentle on your gum but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger, ticky whiter, ticky stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Kelkits, happy smile.
Attention all farmers, are you ready to take your crops to the next level? Introducing 3 effective organic composts that will revolutionize your farming practices. ACAP, KCAP and IRICOP brings to you the ultimate solution for your fertilizer needs. Introducing the ACAP Grade A, KCAP Equiafua Jinkwa and the IRICOP with cocoa blends, palm blend and mulch. These are made from locally sourced municipal solid waste, and these are the perfect choice for sustainable farming. Join the organic revolution today. Boost your crop yield, improve soil health, and support sustainable farming practices. Choose ACAP, KCAP, and IRICOP organic compost for a greener and bountiful harvest. For your purchase and more information, call the numbers on your screen. Our products are endorsed by COCOBOD, Planting for Food and Jobs, and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
If you look at previous or historical trends, that when a new government comes, having subjected us to economic hardships like this, where incidence of poverty is 23.4%, what it means is that 1 out of every 4 Ghanaian is very poor in Ghana as we speak. When you inherit an economy like this, what finance minister across the world would have done would be cost burden sharing or cost sharing. However, this budget seeks to shift away, putting the burden on the ordinary Ghanaian into that of production. And I think this is one of the innovative ideas. It is also important to note, Mr. Speaker, the NPP, when you talk about public debt accumulation, they go and hide behind dollar. They do it in dollar rated and say that the NDC government added this amount in dollars and they added this amount in dollars. It is important to know when you look at IS 37, in reporting standards, you use your functional and presentation currencies in reporting your debt stock and not the dollar or the foreign debt component. Mr. Speaker, in 2015-2016, an asset quality review was done by the Bank of Ghana and the IMF, where it projected that the total depositors amount that was at risk as a result of poor banking supervision, poor corporate governance strategies employed by the banking sector, we needed 9 billion Ghana cedis to recapitalize our banks. Due to the cruel and the bad governance these people inflicted on the Ghanaian populace, we were subjected to pay through the taxpayer 30.3 billion Ghana cedis. Yet, we still need 10 billion Ghana cedis to recapitalize a banking sector that needed only 9 billion. Mr. Speaker, the purpose of creating the NIB and then the ADB was to support agriculture and commercial activities of Ghanaian sector. As we speak, we need 2.2 billion Ghana cedis to recapitalize those two indigenous banks. It is important to note that the current participation rate of Ghana local banking sector is less than 10%. These people came and collapsed all indigenous banks, and yet they have the audacity to offer superior suggestions.
You're still live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. The show is also live on 94.1 FM. What we have done is that we have had calls from some of you who say once you leave your homes, you're on the move, you're unable to monitor us. And so for now, we have given you an alternative source for you to monitor and follow what we do here. Because you love this show, you can't just, your morning will not be complete without Good Morning Ghana program. So once you dial 94.1, you can monitor the conversation here. So it's 94.1. So please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that the Good Morning Ghana show is now live on radio. It's just 94.1. That's it for now. There's no name attached to the radio station. It's just 94.1. It's crystal clear, crystal clear. Now, Blue Jeans Energy Drink is proudly associated with the Good Morning Ghana show. And please, if you haven't tasted or you haven't tried Blue Jeans Energy Drink, please do, because it's an energy booster. It has a way of making your day, makes you very productive when you taste the Blue Jeans Energy Drink. It has vitamins such as B2, B3, B6, B12. There's taurine, there's guarana, which are known to boost your strength and energy, as well as promote high performance and endurance. So Blue Jeans Energy Drink has been tested, has been tried. Everybody who's tested it, has tested and tasted it, tells us that it's fantastic. It's lovely. So do same. Blue Jeans Energy Drink is for bold and active women. And I know you're a bold man and an active woman watching us this morning. So it's in shops nationwide. For bulk purchases, contact Budget Cash and Carry Limited on 020-812-8190. 020-812-8190 or 055-001-000. 055-001-000. So one of my guests is actually seated. We're waiting for another guest, and that's a surprise guest. He hasn't been here, I believe, the whole of 2025. He'll be joining us shortly, but I'm waiting. Once he takes his seat, I will be introducing him. I'll be introducing him as and when that happens. But for now, our good brother and friend, and a man who from time to time joins us on the show, that's the MP for the people of Sanglarogo constituency, the man Atta Issa, who is also an accountant, an accomplished accountant, has joined us on the show now for the Good Morning Ghana. Good morning, my brother, and I hope you're doing well. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Good morning to you.
You speak some Arabic?
Small. The Arabic we used to pray. That one was.
That's Fatiha.
Yes.
And some other surahs.
Yes.
But apart from that, so if I asked you Kaifa Halik,
that one I know.
That one you know. Okay. What response would you give?
Let's not go there. If it was a Friday, like
yes.
we'll
Oh, you rattle it.
Yes, I'll rattle it properly. Yeah.
But after succeeding the Honorable ABA Husseini, there were some people who were expecting that occasionally you should be spewing the kind of huge and big proverbs that he's been spewing.
In fact, let me give one.
You want to give
when
one?
When a man dies in the market, you don't announce his
No, but That's what's the name? ABF Hussein.
In fact, he's writing a memoir on some of these things.
Oh, really? He's doing that?
Yes, he is.
Oh, I see. So he's cataloging
all the things that and he's one of the fine brains you have when it comes to
proverbs,
protecting our tradition. Yes, because these are old sayings.
Yes.
For him, the ability to translate it into English is something worth admiration. So I think he's currently working on something like that. And once it's out, I'm sure everybody in Ghana will want to have some. It's a catalog of all what he has said, and those that is not yet out.
There's one of his sayings which I like. He says, when a lion is found patronizing the market or something, it is treated
as a puppy.
No, that's very powerful.
Yes, very, very powerful.
In other words,
so what is simple? That's not your place.
So what are you doing there?
What are you doing there? So I think this was in response to the constant Baobia engaging with those every media opportunity makes something. So when you are found in that space, people will jump on you, irrespective of your status in society. So the way he is able to on the spot give a proverb that relates actually with the issue is
that's him.
Yes.
I don't know whether Andy, do we have any of his videos where he's spewing out one of those
I remember what he said when Dr. Baombea agrees you look at the position of the sun before you respond.
Oh God, ABF Husseini. Yes. He's now the I think the director of communications
for Hajj Task Force. Yes.
Yeah, the task force. Yeah, the board has not been constituted yet.
So it's our prayer that it will be considered when it is formed as a board.
As the substantive director of communications.
Substantive is our prayer.
Okay. I see. But are you always in touch with him?
Yes. As a democratic party, of course, one way of selecting your leaders is through an election. So we have all come to the realization that you elect leaders through elections.
Yeah.
So that does not create a room for enmity or bad blood.
Yeah.
And if you observe, prior to the 2024 election, I was moving around with him in my constituency. So we are always in touch. He comes to Parliament regularly, and I see him, we talk, I call him, he calls me when there's an issue. And I like the relationship, that the level of cordiality that exists between the two of us. And I think that it is good for our constituency. Oftentimes you see that past MPs with the present normally do not have that level of relationship. But I am thankful to Allah that He has given me such a person who feels like Charlie is part of life.
Yeah.
And Allah, if you look at Mulk, Allah will tell you that Surah Imran, that He gives leadership to who He wants, and He takes away leadership from who He wants. So in all situations, God loves us. So this is our time. It will come a time that another person too will take the mantle. And at the end of the day, we must always know that the progress of the people of Sanargo is our ultimate objective. So we miss him.
Well, you have been very busy in Parliament as well in the last few days. You were debating the 2025 budget.
Yes.
And just before we came here, I watched a video where you're talking about the extent of poverty in this country. And you're saying 1 out of 4 Ghanaians, there were some statistics that you shared.
Yes.
What was that for?
So, you know, when the budget was presented, then we set this week for debate on various sectors of the budget. So, when listening to the minority, you get the impression that they had left a better economy, or they had managed the finances of this country better. And I was just drawing their attention to the fact that you know your performance by some key indicators. And I've always maintained that the purpose of governance is to maximize the welfare of your people. So let's look at the welfare matrices and see whether you have done well or not. But I always maintain that the greatest verdict on how you have managed the economy reflects in your electoral outcomes.
Okay.
So which is clear. And I told them that the electoral outcome suggests that they have 88 MPs out of 275 we have in the chamber right now. And then they had about 41.3% in terms of the presidential results. That is the biggest verdict you can place on your governance. Number two, when you do economic analysis on welfare, the critical welfare measure, I told Honorable Kojo Nkrumah that welfare GDP growth is not a welfare measure. You know why?
Why?
Because the drivers of the growth might not come from the productive sector. That will engineer the growth.
Let me try and understand something.
Good.
What you're trying to say is that when a government touts that it has posted X GDP growth, it doesn't tell the full story.
It doesn't tell the full story.
And that what matters most is where the growth is coming
from.
Explain to me why.
So, for example, if you borrow so much and spend all in consumption, or you spend all your resources in debt servicing, debt servicing is an expenditure. It will be added to your GDP. But it is money that is going out, that is not to the people. So my point is that you may grow high, but if the drivers of those growth is not in the productive sector, that will not be reflected in the welfare of the people. So look at something. Ghana posted a GDP of 5.7% for last year. But the statistical service, this is the document. I thought you said something like Ghana 2024 statistical year overview.
Yesterday, and this is perhaps very important. Because yesterday, one of the newspapers reported that the Ghana Statistical Service, in fact, they were in Parliament. Professor Nim was in Parliament.
I was there.
What he suggested was that, you were there.
I was there. I asked the question.
You asked the question?
I asked him the question.
So did what the newspaper capture, which was that to state that the growth was induced by Galamsey is not entirely accurate?
So look
at what he said?
Look at what happened. I asked the statistician one simple question. I said, first of all, what was the end year GDP growth of 2024? He said 5.7% oil growth, and now oil growth at 6.3%. That's what he said. Then number two, I asked him, what was the drivers of those growth? Then number one, he said mining and quarry of 19.1% to service sector. And even the service sector, it was in the telcos. Not the welfare of the people, not productive sectors. And then he talked about construction. And you and I know the level or the amount of money we spent in importing those drip machines contributed to the growth, but it did not resonate into uplifting the poverty level of our people. So my issue is never questioning the relevance of growth, because growth is also an indicative measure that we use, especially that assessing the health of the country in terms of the size of your envelope, whether it is enough to pay your debt. And it is one conversation that I want to raise further in terms of structural reforms to our how we measure our growth indicators.
You mean the metrics?
The metrics. For example, I believe that one best way of measuring your debt accumulation level and whether the size of your revenue envelope is enough to pay your debt should not be the gross domestic product. It should rather be the net national product. You know why? Because most of the growth in GDP is attributable to expatriation. Repatriation of our, for example, the mining. We all know that Ghana has a royalty of 5% and a carried interest of 13.5%. So when you add all, it means that bulk of our oil reserves is not for this country, but it's added to our GDP. We have foreigners that do business in this country, and when they do their business, it is added to our GDP. These are not proper drivers of growth. So for me, I feel like the matrices or the basket that we use to determine our debt to GDP ratio should be revised to look for only Ghanaian contribution.
I get it.
Because that is what is owned by us and not the general envelope. So that's what I seek to draw. But I'm saying that every government wants to alleviate poverty. In fact, that's all what we've been doing. And it is reported by the IMF that incidence of poverty in 2024 was 24.3%. Virtually 25%. So if it is 25%, that's 4 Ghanaians. So 1 out of every 4 Ghanaians is poor. Okay. And they use a ceiling of 16 Ghana cedis. That is the exchange rate.
Yeah.
They are of the view that your baseline, if a day a Ghanaian cannot spend up to 16 Ghana cedis, that Ghanaian is poor.
Okay.
So you and I know how many Ghanaians do we have currently that can spend 16 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
So one out of every 4 Ghanaians is a poor person.
I see.
So you cannot have these welfare matrices performing bad, and yet you say you are superior managers to the economy. Number 2, look, we all know an IMF program comes with conditionalities. We all know that.
Before you proceed with that, before you make the comment or you proceed with the conversation about the IMF conditionalities, let me say that your colleague has also joined us here. This man, I told you, it's a surprise because the whole of this year is not visited us. He left us. God being so good, he's back. He's back to base. And this man I'm talking about is a medical practitioner. He's a politician, and he's also an author. In fact, he's an author of 2 books, for 2 splendid, fantastic books. Perhaps I may ask him how the books are doing. So I'm talking about the former member of parliament for the Lejokuku constituency, and also a former board chair of Kolibu Teaching Hospital, and also a former chief executive officer of the National Health Insurance Authority. And then, of course, in the dying embers of the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo administration, was made a health minister, something a lot of people thought should have happened a long time ago, but never say never.
Never say never.
Never say never. Or better late than never. So the man is here, and he is representing, obviously, the NPP. I'm talking about Dr. Okoboy, or Dr. Bernard Okoboy. Sometimes you see Dr. Okoboy Bernard, or Dr. Bernard Okoboy. Is it Okoboy before Bernard? Hello, Bernard before Okoboy.
Bro, if you ask those who stake lotto, sometimes their arrangement can hit the pot. They call it permutation.
That's what they do.
If you do straight, you can miss.
Yeah.
So the best thing is to pen.
It's to pen.
And
is that what some people are doing with your name? Your pen?
Yes.
Because when I looked at, I remember one of the books that you launched, I noticed they had actually written Dr. Okoboy Bernard.
Yes.
And yet when you Google, your name, you see Dr. Bernard Okoboy,
Yes,
but
yes.
It's got to be streamlined. You don't think so?
Absolutely.
It's got to be streamlined. But good to see you.
Absolutely.
How have you been?
Oh, by His grace.
I don't know that it is belated for me to wish him a happy new year.
Yeah. I mean, it's the first time we're meeting.
Yeah. It's in order.
We thank God for His mercies. Once by His grace, we are in good health.
Right.
Once you have health,
you have everything.
all of this, they'll fall in line.
Yeah.
So, I also thank God for Good Morning Ghana.
Yeah.
We've had some. In this life, you got to move forward.
True.
In fact, you got to move and just make sure you are moving.
Right, in the right direction.
Yes, exactly. And I'm happy that Dr. Abe is gone to other places. I wish him very well. I mean, I was very happy when I heard of his assignment, as I'll call it. I know that he will do some good things there. It's the way he's able to go into the documents at Ministry of Finance and always tell us, even after making our submission, what is hidden behind the documents. I hope you find out everything that is
at Cocoa Board.
At Cocoa Board and help to improve the situation.
Yeah.
Let me also say good morning to my brother. I wish them well. It's amazing how today, when they present the budget, all their effort is on only one indicator, which is primary balance. It's amazing.
No, I will go to several.
I've watched, not necessarily him, but I've watched some of their, spokespersons, and it's just amazing.
Right.
It tells you how interesting the world is. Because some time ago, for close to 8 straight years, their government couldn't achieve a positive primary balance. It was always naked. I think the first time in a long time.
Right.
We had a positive primary balance. It was in 2017.
Right.
So when I heard them saying primary balance, I was like, wow, these guys, But I mean, democracy is interesting.
Yeah.
Competition is also very good for us. And I think, I don't know, I'll mention a few things that has made the Ghanaian better off because of competition. How even the behavior and position of politicians in office now have changed because they realize that competition demands they change their position. Otherwise, they were going to remain in opposition for long. And it's a smart move. It's a progressive move to change some of your stance to be in tune with what is being asked of by the population. Yes.
I get it. So Dr. Bernard Okoboy has joined us today, and he's been missing on the show for a while, but they'll tell us that they're still reorganizing and so on and so forth. And so perhaps he's done reorganizing, and so he's back. He's back to base.
And thank you for using
and I'm sure
reorganization instead of resetting.
Because like you said, the Bernard Okoboy story can never be fully written without Good Morning Ghana, and so it's good to see you once again. So anyway, so you are talking about IMF conditionalities.
Yes, so let me also welcome him.
Okay.
It's been a while that I've seen him on TV.
Okay.
I think one of the fine gentlemen we have in the MPP, and it's sad that he's always considered last minute. I remember their first term, he ended the year because of COVID-19. And Doctor became very, very popular during the COVID-19 series.
Yes.
And he did a very good job there.
Right.
And then the last...
he has a book.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, he has a book on COVID-19.
On COVID-19. But he was the face, and Dr. Esia, or... they were the face of...
you should get that book.
The fight against corruption. Whilst the government were spending our money, they took the bullets.
The book talks about all of these things.
Yes.
You try and get
so
it.
I'll get it.
Here we are.
Okay.
The mother in the monster.
This one was our Kolebu.
Oh, this is the Kolebu one. Okay. This
but
one
the COVID one is fellow Ghanaians.
The hypertension one. So this one, good. Telling Ghana's COVID-19 story. This is the book. Get it.
I'm sure he will not tell us the utilization of the funds. He won't have that information.
But
I think that opposition is not bad for Doc. He still looks very fresh. So you are welcome to opposition. I think we suffered it for the last 8 years.
Right.
Now, like I was talking about the IMF conditionalities.
Yeah.
So one thing that is expected as part of the PCPEC program is strict adherence to structural benchmarks. And it is important that every country, for you to even qualify for the next tranche, that's why they do it in tranches. You must always meet certain structural benchmarks.
Sure.
And Doctor has started on a very good note because he said ever since the budget was read, the primary focus is on primary balance.
Okay.
And I want to just underscore the importance of primary balance. Look, first of all, primary balance measures your fiscal health, or it is an anchor upon which you get enough space to do other things.
Yeah.
For example, when you take your domestic revenue, that's why I started by the fact that we must be very measured as to what is coming from Ghanaians. When you take your total domestic revenue, and you take your total domestic expenditure minus interest payment, the rest, if it is positive, it simply suggests that you don't need to borrow. If it is negative, it means that you need to borrow to finance that deficit. And that is why Ghana, over the last few decades, has always been accumulating debt, because we need to always finance our primary deficits. Look, Doc, the reason that occasioned the MPP primary surplus in 2017, 2018, 2019 was not because of performance. It was reclassification of expenditure. If you remember, they introduced the concept of below the line and above the line. So certain key government expenditures were taken off and given to the SOEs. So to free the government of enough revenue. So it means that government gave SOEs that as if it is their own, and they must refinance it through their balance sheets, so that the central government will be free of them and get smaller expenditure. Unlike the previous regimes, we never had that concept of below and above the line. So it must be clear from onset. So if you look at the primary balance, IMF projected, due to the level of debt that they found Ghana post-COVID, they suggested that we must do a primary balance of surplus of 0.5% of GDP, meaning that we don't need to borrow more The government did deficit of 3.9%, above a surplus of 0.5%. The net effect is that we had done negative 4.4%. Because if they want you to do positive of 0.5, you are doing negative of 3.9. You are doing, it means that you've reversed by negative 4.4%. And then the overall overall deficit was 7.9. We don't use the overall. You know why? Because some of those things will be previous accumulations, not related to that year. So that's why our interest is on the primary deficit. Number two, you look at inflation. I remember President Mahama was castigated seriously in 2016 that inflation was around 15%. So the only expectation that we were having was that after 8 years, we should have seen an inflation level lower than what you took, because you promised to do better. For example, we promised to do better in the next 4 years. So if in 4 years' time you are assessing the health of the economy, at least it should be better than what we inherited in 2024. So we were expecting that inflation would be something less than 15%. In fact, in the 1992 Constitution, when we started the Fourth Republic, it was only in 2022 we had an inflation rate of 54%. It never happened. And it came down to 23.8% against an IMF projection of 18%. And then when you come to the debt stock, and that's why let me get little time to do some education here. The MPP are always quick, and they are funny when they are doing the rate of debt accumulations. Who has accumulated more debt than who? First of all, Ghana has a functional currency of Ghana cedis. We don't have any other functional currency. IS 21 will tell you how to classify liabilities, debt, and all those things in your functional currency. So our functional currency is the cedi. So this whole voodoo calculation that they always do with, oh, we have added 40, the MDC did $42 billion, we are doing 21 billion. No, it is not permissible. You know why? Because you must always know your base. In 2016, if you had converted that amount you are using in dollar now to the 4 cedi 20 pesos, it will not be the same as converting the same dollar with a larger denominator of 16 Ghana cedis. It is as a result of recklessness and fiscal indiscipline that occasioned your exchange rate to depreciate from 4 cedi to 16 Ghana cedis. And you are happy deflating your external debt by dividing it over the higher exchange rate. We don't do mathematics like that. We should use pound for pound. If you are using in dollar terms, we should all convert at either 16 or we all convert at 4 cedi 20 pesos. But you don't take somebody who owns with a smaller denominator of 4.2 and yours with a higher denominator of 16 Ghana cedis. That is not mathematics. Number three, when you look, they also do debt accumulation in terms of percentage. That President Kufuor left a debt of 9.5 billion. We move it to 122 billion. That is over 1,000%. But one thing that they forget is that you can never say that when you take 9.5 billion out of 122, you get a figure higher than taking 726 billion from 122. You can never argue that. So they are quick to hide behind percentage and then dollar terms, but they don't face the reality. Because when you are going to pay the debt, you don't pay it with the percentage. You don't also pay it with the forex. It is the Ghana cedi that you convert to go and pay that debt. But even talking about public debt, for this time around, we have followed their metrics of always decoupling SOE's debt from our public debt. Apart from the 726 billion, look at our SOEs. I'm happy he said Dr. Randy can do restructuring in the cocoa. In fact, this morning, we are considering a bill from Cocoa Board as to how to re-engineer their financing structure. Look, Cocoa Board alone has 32 billion Ghana cedis.
Sitting on their books.
Sitting on their books. And not only that, this year, any ton of cocoa that we do will suffer $4,000 loss. Because of last year, the syndicated loan that we took from the market and said we want to buy cocoa, we didn't get enough. So people had given us money expecting cocoa beans, we didn't supply. Now cocoa price has gone up. The differential, we must take care of it. Look at ECG. You left the lights on, yet saddled with debt. Look, but for the renegotiation that was done by the Energy Ministry and the President in the meeting, IPPs alone were owed $1.73 billion. Ghana would have been back to doom so. Look at our banking sector. It is always nauseating when I'm talking about that. Because Ghana had 67% local participation in the banking industry. Currently, how many indigenous banks do we have in our banking industry? Yet, yesterday I showed it to the former Deputy Finance Minister, Abena, the asset quality review that was done. They projected the total deposits amount in those suffering banks at 9 billion. So if you come as a government and you pick the report, the IMF has already indicated based on the fiscal health of those banks, and they enumerated those banks to you. So if you come and they need 9 billion recapitalization, all you need to do, recapitalize and change the governance structure. Because one, misuse of the deposited fund, that's the issue. Is that not it? Those people at the helm of affairs, restructure it. Or you consolidate like you did. But they came, what did they do? They collapsed all those banks. People went for panic withdrawals. Banks had made investments. They couldn't honor their depositors' requirements. Then, government of Ghana, through the taxpayer, has paid a total of 30.3 billion Ghana cedis. Yet this year alone, the IMF reports that we have only done 93% of the shock that came as a result of the cleanup. We still need 10.3 billion Ghana cedis to solve it. ADB and NIB that was established for commercial viability and to drive agriculture needs about 2.2 billion Ghana cedis recapitalization to function according to the dictates of its establishment. Then you look at the real sector that they talk about. They were happy. I've already talked about I don't think, growth of 5%. Look, let's be honest. They said they grew at 5.7%, yet we said we are resetting the country. Why are we growing at 4.4%? That is the disingenuity of the NPP, and that's my problem. Look,
you don't think it's a legitimate question?
It's not legitimate,
why?
And I'll tell you why. First of all, if you are a finance minister, you have 5 weeks to prepare a budget. 5 weeks. How can you use 5 weeks in the first place to do a complete forecast in 5 weeks? Number two, their own document, the 3 months budget that they prepared for us upon assumption of office, they projected that Ghana will grow at 4% for 2025. The finance minister didn't do any voodoo calculation. He only uplifted the IMF projection of 4%. Number two, these same people in 2024 beginning projected Ghana will grow at 2.8%. Mid-year, they revised it to 3.1%. Yet, they ended the year with 5.7%. So, where's the basis when you project less and do more? Where's the basis? You projected to grow at 2.8, revised it to 3.1, yet you ended the year with 5.7%. So, there's nothing wrong with projecting low and doing more. That is the available data that you have.
But from where you sit, what do you think would account for the low GDP growth?
Thank you.
Projected GDP growth.
Thank you. If you look at currently, we have a lot of government commitments that we need to do.
Okay.
Unlike the previous regime, that there was complete debt suspension. This year, we are expected to pay 67 billion Ghana cedis in terms of domestic and external debt. They were not paying for 3 consecutive years. So, when we are doing our macro targets or the medium-term targets to be modest, it doesn't reflect incompetence. Then the last one in the external sector, they said, in fact, we all know $1 to 4 cedi traded pesos can never be better than $1 to 15 cedis. It can never be. Asian rate stability is not only good for the government, it's also good for the private sector for planning. I can tell you 13% rise in our debt accumulation is not as a result of the fact that NPP borrowed more. It is exchange rate differentials. When they want to pay, the dollar has increased. They have to look for the additional money to pay. So it is, let's not celebrate this level of poor performance. When you are leaving an office after 8 years, you criticize President Mahama managing the exchange rate at 4 cedi, 20 pesos to $1. You said he was incompetent. You gave him all sort of names. Yet you ended the 8-year mandate with 15.5 Ghana cedis to $1. Then you look at our reserves. It is sad that during the debate, they said they left an import cover of 4 months. Moro, you and I know, when you do 37% principal haircut on external bond holders, you suspended debt payment for 2022, 2023, and 2024. Why won't you have reserves?
Right.
Gold prices increased to an all-time high of $2,800 per ounce. Cocoa prices increased, yet you were not servicing your external debt. Why won't you have reserves? But this year, we cannot have that reserve because we are expected to pay the external component of the maturing debt. That is the difference. So, look, the only group of people that have issue with this budget is the MPP. And it's expected because this budget was prepared primarily on consultations.
Okay.
We did consultation with stakeholders through the National Economic Dialogue. We did consultations through the National Economic Forum, Education Forum. We did consultations through the engagement of traders and the X platform that the Finance Minister brought.
You mean consultations during the National Economic Forum? Yeah.
We have featured all those concerns into the budget.
Okay.
So the MPP only has an issue with it because first, they didn't participate in the budget. Then they will take one line item, compensation.
Yes, that's big.
Look, they sought to do two primary things. One was propaganda and two was to impugn ill motive against some persons of government.
Why?
Number one, they claimed immediately after the budget was read, they did a press conference that was led by Dr. Amin Adam. And they said, look at the priority initiatives. The Women's Development Bank was allocated 51.3 million Ghana cedis. And Felix and his deputy alone in compensation is 78 million Ghana cedis. That was a specific word they used. Felix and his deputy. Later, Abuna revised it to 7 members of government communication, 7 members, and that they are entitled to 78 million. Yesterday, the matter was brought to rest.
In Parliament?
In Parliament. That this Office of Government Machinery compensation of 2.7 billion is not only the existing presidency. We are talking about payment of 11,657, and just take a calculator and divide it by 12, divide that amount by 12 months, and you see that you get averagely 19,000 Ghana cedis. But fortunately, at the committee level, it was agreed to settle the dust for Ghanaian good, not for the sake of the MPP. The list of complete 32 agencies under the office of the president will be made available for the Ghanaian public to scrutinize. And
so for now, officially, there are 32
agencies with 11,657 civil servants.
Not political appointees.
Not political appointees. The political appointees appointed by President Mahama is 30. Are you saying that? And you see, also, there are parliamentary tools, oversight tools they could have used to elicit this information. You don't need to organize press conference on it. Number one, they could have come through a substantive question, either an urgent question or what. They could have also invited the minister for questioning. And then they could have also used the RTI that they passed to seek for this information. But they did it for two purposes, propaganda and then to malign those individuals. So I think that this budget is a consolidation of hope of our people.
All right.
And I expect that. And finally, before Senior comes, yesterday to demonstrate some level of seriousness. And it is, we need to commend the finance minister for this level of financial innovations. Ordinarily, when you inherit an economy that is struggling, one would have expected that the government would talk about cost sharing and burden sharing approach. But he does a clear departure from the usual trends. If you look at our previous government trends, he has brought some level of innovation to get more revenue for government. Yesterday, at the Finance Committee, we considered 9 amendments. 9! He brought them under a certificate of urgency. Look, and I'll share some with you. This is Earmark Funds Capping and Realignment Bill, Amendment Bill 2025. And the purpose of it, that is the GET Fund and then the NHIE. So these are the Ghana Education Trust Fund, and the purpose of uncapping it is to finance free secondary education and free tertiary education for persons with disability. So we don't need to borrow, we don't need to use the goods and services component of ABFA to finance it. Education is not supposed to be financed by goods and services budget of the government. Number 2, uncap the National Health Insurance Levy and to use it for payment of claims of health insurance. You and I know that he was there. He knows the issues when it comes to claims payments because they capped it and they didn't get enough money in the NHI. When he came, I heard him talk about the difficulties that the NHI had. So now there's a dedicated source of funding as a result of just uncapping the policy. And purchase of essential medicines, payment of vaccines, free primary health care, the Ghana Medical Trust Care that they started in terms of some specific ailments like dialysis and all those things. And then bridging the USAID funding gap, you know, Donald Trump issue. Then we talk about uncapping the road fund to get us some level of funds to do critical road maintenance this year. Because the road sector alone, the debt that has been validated is 105 billion Ghana cedis, and the debt on committed that is not validated because they didn't have commencement certificate is 195 billion Ghana cedis. So there's no enough fiscal space for even to do new roads. So that's why we are uncapping this to free money for maintenance purposes. Then the second one is the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. When it was established in 2014, government of Ghana gave them an amount of $325 million to do critical infrastructure. Through their balance sheet alone, they've been able to attract foreign direct investment to a tune of $3 billion. Yet ABFA always go to them for what? What we are now saying is that the component of the petroleum revenue that normally goes to them, we routinely allocate oil revenue such that if they ask you and I in Ghana, what, and you know, oil is a finite commodity, it will end one day. If they ask you and I, what has our oil funds been used for? What would you say?
You're referring to legacy projects.
Legacy projects. So government is now saying that the Agenda 111 that they started without any dedicated funding source, we are uncapping this, or we are removing this one to dedicate it to the completion of the Agenda 111 project. So that when they ask what has the oil revenue been used for, the completion of the Agenda 111 and the Accra-Temamoto Way expansion.
So it is not true that you are abandoning the Agenda.
No, we are not. We are not. It is part of the 13.85 billion we have allocated for the government flagship program of Big Push. Last one, look at the income amendment bill. Yesterday it was brought to bear. You know, when the budget was read, there was this argument of betting tax and lotteries.
Yeah.
Yesterday it was made clear that the lottery tax is the same thing as the betting tax when you look at the income tax amendment bill that we brought. Because the idea is that there's only 10% withholding tax on lottery. And lottery can come in the form of the usual lotto, you know, games and predictions.
Yeah.
So the one that was not collected by the government is the NLA one. And the one that was collected by government is the Gaming Commission one. So we are scrapping all together in one budget line. And then the special import levy, we are just not doing any new tax. This tax has been in existence since 2013. The 8-year mandate of President Akufo-Addo, he has extended the sunset clauses. all we seek to do is also to extend the sunset clauses and then the growth and the sustainability levy that I think we'll discuss the Galamsey issue, right?
Yeah, sure. We'll talk about
so
it,
I'll let Minister come in. So for me, it's a budget of hope, and we should expect more. When fully implemented, I think we'll shame the naysayers.
All right. Doc, your colleague has said a lot, and I'm sure you also have a lot to say. Yeah.
So, I mean, first of all, let me say a very good morning to all your viewers. And to say that at the end of the day, it is the citizen that must be better off.
Yeah.
So they are the focus. I mean, we are the actors, but they are the focus. Generally, looking at the budget, I think if you are someone who watches our budget readings over the years, this budget is, I will not say it's a calamity, but I mean, it's not one also that is transformational. Yeah.
Let me just read the agencies that fall under the Office of Government.
The agencies are out now.
I now have them. One is first of all, the General Administration of the Presidency, the Office of Chief of Staff, the Vice President Office Secretariat, Cabinet Secretariat, Press Secretariat, Policy Coordination and Delivery Unit. That is Office of President. Then the other agencies. We have the Public Sector Reform Secretariat, the Council of States, State Protocol Department, Scholarship Secretariat, Office of the Administrator General, Public Enterprise Secretariat, Zongo and Inner Cities Development Secretariat, Ghana AIDS Commission, National Identification Authority, National Population Council, Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Millennium Development Authority, Internal Audit Agency, Micro and Small Loan Center, that's the MASLOC, State Interest and Governance Authority, SIGA, National Center for Coordination of Early Warning Response Mechanism. It was established by President Akufo-Addo. The Coastal Development Authority workers that they employed, we can't sack them. We have to realign. The Middle Belt Development Authority staff, Northern Development Authority staff, Zongo Development Fund staff, Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, GBC, Information Service Department, Ghana News Agency, the Research Department, National Security Council, National Signal Bureau, National Intelligence Bureau.
How many have you?
33.
That's 33.
That's 33. I can share. Let me share it with you.
Okay. All right. So you're hoping this should be able to settle
the issue of the
matter once
total staff paid under compensation at the Office of Government Machinery is 11,657. And these are the institutions and agencies that they fall under.
Probably missing in this is I didn't hear you talk about the National Signals Bureau, the NIB, National Investigation Bureau.
I just mentioned them.
You mentioned them.
At the later
and
part,
the National Secretariat. Is that
National Security Council.
Oh, okay, that's the council.
National Signal Bureau.
Okay.
And then the National Intelligence Bureau.
Sorry about that.
And then the Research Department.
I didn't hear that. So I think
I'm sharing it.
So this should hopefully settle the matter once and for all. Anyway, Doc, please. Sorry for the
absolutely. No, that's okay. So I mean, the point I want to make is that this budget is quite, it looks similar to some other budgets that I have heard, read, and listened to. There are a few things in the budget that I would say are in the right direction. There are a few policies also that deserve further explanation. We also have some omissions that are quite worrying. But overall, I mean, I am into this politics with the hope that the ordinary Ghanaian those in the lower class will come up, those in the middle class will go up. So I don't wish them doom. But like I've always maintained, it takes hard work and some honesty. You know, I use some because you can decide to play with the metrics and the indicators, but the bottom line is the opportunities that you are able to create. How many opportunities do you create or are you able to create for the youth so that the unemployment situation would be improved? I mean, how well are you able to grow the economy such that you are able to make some wealth and be able to pay for social programs? I mean, this is where it all trickles down to.
Yeah.
We are not, I mean, running the country is not like being an economy class. It's not a master's or PhD program. All your knowledge and skill set must be deployed such that at the end of your tenure, the one in the country today can say that, oh, looking at how much I pay for electricity, looking at the opportunities for my children and grandchildren, things have improved. And that's why I said there are a few things that are hopeful or good in the budget. One classical example is the allocation for the free SHS program. And you see, I am happy that competition has made the Ghanaian the winner. Because when President Kufuor started this free SHS, some were like, oh, take your time. It cannot be done. Take your time. It will take 20 or 30 years. But when President Mahama realized that the country was aligned to such a vision, he's come around. And now even has moved it a step further by saying that it will be put in the Get Fund bill. That is good news. That is using, they say there are many ways of killing a cat. That is using Get Fund through amendment to make a line for free SHS. What it means is that the chance that someone will take it out or will say, I will not do it, is low. We try to achieve it by some law that the education minister tried to introduce, if you remember. But I'm happy that they have used another route. Bottom line is that at least it is captured in one of our laws, you know. And again, I'm happy with the involvement or transformation of some of our leaders, which at the end of the day makes the Ghanaian the winner. Because I remember sometime President Obama made a comment that, oh, if I had this amount of money, I'll build more schools. But today, we are human beings. You have to evolve. He's evolved to appreciate the value also of supporting, families. If we are paying fees for families, the money, I've heard some who said, oh, let parents who can afford pay fees. If those who can afford are not paying the fees, how do you get them to pay into other things that can bring you money back? If they are not paying the fee at Presec or at Chimota, what is it that the middle or upper class does that an ordinary man does not do that you can get money from? That's where the innovation comes. The thinking. This is the real work. And these are some of the things that I was expecting in the budget. I mean, the road tolls was mentioned. Fine, that is okay. But how are you even going about it? Because going the same way of taking 50 pesos from a vehicle and all that, when are you going to get something significant to improve on our roads? You know, so if you go to other jurisdictions, there are places that you don't drive to. If you choose to drive there, you pay. We should look at some of these things. It will help.
Governor Zagboja, who
Yes.
is the sector minister,
Yes.
has stated publicly that they are going to digitalize the
Absolutely.
road
Oh,
tolls.
as for the digitalization, it was even
In fact,
mentioned before.
they've gone beyond that. They've actually requested for people to bid.
No, in fact, before the NDC came into office.
You talked about it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean,
so
you know, and these are some of the things that we have to look at. Now, I mean, to do an allocation for teacher training allowance and nursing training allowance, again, the Ghanaian has won. Because in the past, some created the impression that, oh, let's also go for loans. But some of these programs are social or safety nets. In fact, one of my friends told me that if you watch most of the giants that came from the north in Ghana, most of them were teachers first. And when you go deep into it, it's not like they couldn't do other courses. It's because teaching them was more or less free and even get a stipend. And because of the families, the economic class, they first used that route. And then when they finished, they entered into other programs at the universities and realized that they were even sharper than those who started some of those programs. So all those people is a social or safety net that made it possible for them to achieve the highs they have. Sometimes if you've not been there before, you assume that because you can afford fees at Legon, oh, everybody should pay. It's not like that in this world. So I'm happy that the NDC that spoke in a way like, oh, teacher training, I mean, why do we spend this money on them, and has come around and made an allocation. It's good.
But Doc, at the time, and I'm happy you've brought this, but at the time when the policy was introduced, that must have been in Chroma's time, isn't it?
Yeah.
We were trying to motivate and encourage as many people as possible to train as other nurses or teachers. But today, isn't it obvious that we have a glut in terms of teachers and nurses who are every day holding placards and I mean I'm sure when you went there, they came there.
Yeah.
We can't even find a place to post them.
You know.
So we have more than necessary.
There are people.
So does it still make sense that we continue to pay them these allowances?
There are people that have had issues with my senior brother, Napo.
Okay.
Former education minister.
Yes.
There are people that speak of him as if, Napo has this, Napo this. But he's one of the guys that transformed education, especially when it comes to this teacher training.
Okay.
You know, now in teacher training, you don't get diploma. What they do is degree courses. They've been affiliated to.
NDC.
You mean NDC started it?
Yes.
Oh, but under him, what I know is that in the past, when they finished, they were like the nurses. They were connected to the education ministry. So apparently, even the numbers that they used to in school was what was more or less used to push them into the service.
Okay.
So they felt that they were part of the Ministry of Education. That's why we still have nurses doing this picketing and all that.
Yes.
But it's gone down significantly with the teachers because now they reformed the sector side that when you finish, you are like someone went to do degree at UCC.
Yes.
So
it was the same legislation that converted polytechnics to technical universities.
Into degree awarding institutions.
And they made the same legislation converted colleges of education into degree awarding institutions.
So the point I'm making is that it's not necessarily the fact that they were receiving allowances that made them do this picketing and stuff. It is the arrangement. The arrangement was that they were bonded. You know, nurses are they have some bonding.
So you finish,
there's a connection. Yes,
you finish to get a job.
Yeah, more or less.
Okay.
But over time, due to the numbers, you need to let the nurse be like the engineer. No civil engineer comes to picket at any ministry.
Yes.
They give me job, I finish engineering.
Yes.
So I think Napodems did a lot of work in that direction.
Right.
And he, in a chat with me, he told me, Doc, you guys must move and see how to do a similar thing at the health sector. You know, so once psychologically the nurse knows that I'm on my own, I'm receiving education and a skill set. When I finish, I'm for the market, either domestic or international market. It also changes the behavior of the person. But if in the past they were part of the ministry, even the numbers they use in school is what is moved, transformed to become their numbers whilst working. I mean, more or less they see you as their employer.
Yeah.
So why am I at home? Take me on board. You know. So that's the point I want to make. But you see, if a safety net or a social net like allowance is to help the very poor at places that you might not have been or are not aware unless they've taken you to, saying that we must reform it or change it, I wouldn't fight you. This world is all about change.
Because you talked about evolution.
Exactly. But you must change being able to achieve the same purpose.
I agree.
So for example, if you want them to take loans, I remember I struggled a lot when I wanted to take student loan because apart from my mother, we couldn't get anyone to be the signatory to the loan. You know, you have to get a SNIT contributor.
Yes.
So that in case you default.
In fact, 2.
Yeah, 2, exactly. And it was a lot of effort. Now, if you decide that you are changing that arrangement, like we suggested when we were in power, I don't know whether that's what is trending or is happening now. Our suggestion was that take all those things out. The student coming with the Ghana card alone should be enough to get a loan, so that it is when they get a job that you start to deduct.
Yeah, both of you have promised him. I mean, you promised him. And
Exactly.
So now it's guarantor free.
Yes. So my point is that if you are able to do that, and you also do it such that before even the student applies, or immediately they get admission, the universities have a policy that waits for that money to hit before asking them, because there are some, even to pay the fees is a challenge.
True.
What to eat is a challenge. You know, if you've not been there, you assume, can't you take a car and come to school? But my point is that if you've shown mean lines, that shows that you've removed all barriers for the one who is very poor to have some loan, pay even the first fees, or if government pays the fees, take care of himself. I'm with you. But you should not run away because of your expenditure lines. You know, sometimes a politician wants to cut the expenditure line. He looks at teacher training allowance. Wow, the 1 billion. Should this 1 billion go fiscal space? Then he will tell you, oh, we've come of age. It's not that one. We are not going to let it.
It's going to be a bit more nuanced than that.
Exactly. You know. So that's the point I'm making. The politician or the leader must be compelled by circumstances to be innovative.
Yeah.
What you can evolve, but make sure you still cover the essentials. That's my point.
Okay.
Now, I'm also happy that an allocation was made for women, the girls with the parts and all that. There are little things that goes to cover some people.
You're talking about the free sanitary pads initiative.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
And for the sanitary pad allocation to be bigger than even the Women's Bank, it tells you that pads are powerful.
No.
Charlie,
you know, I was hoping now that he's back from sabbatical, I knew you could check it. Nothing changed.
It's like a small one. Parts are powerful. You know,
our women are powerful.
Yes, my hope and prayer is that a big chunk of this allocation will be sourced locally.
Okay.
You can decide to buy them from outside, and then you think you are okay because of margins and all that. But this is an opportunity to grow those in that area. In fact, if we do it well, there are others who even start to invest in that area.
Yeah, Doc, it's a brilliant idea.
Yes.
See, we need to check the cost of production.
Mm-hmm.
These companies are talking about how expensive it is to.
There are many. People can cite some of the obstacles or challenges the sector.
Yes.
But bottom line, once they give you a market, at least it's good for those who are in.
Yes.
Currently, there are some who are in the paper market or the sanitary market locally.
Yes. But you know they are complaining.
Yeah, oh, I know. But
about the competition they're getting from China and some other countries.
But there's no sector without complaints.
Okay.
But my point is that, assuming they have 10 complaints, market challenges, as in people to buy, is also one of the obstacles. Yes. Having such a big market in terms of this amount would solve some of the problems.
Yes,
in terms of the purchasing power.
Yes.
Once you get such a big customer, it brings in some capital. They can be plowing back, which is to invest back into the industry. It can lead to growth, employment. So there are many value creation that we can have if we source locally. So if we don't source a chunk, and because of timelines, and sometimes because of the numbers, I don't know their capacity. That's why I'm saying that we should make sure that some good percentage is sourced locally, even if we are looking at external people. If we don't do that, we'll lose the real impact of this policy. Some of the missed opportunities in the budget that I saw were the 24-hour economy. You know, I say it's a missed opportunity because looking at how significant it was in their campaign, look at the way Trump is behaving. The first day he was sworn in, he signed close to 50 executive orders. The guy used the time in opposition to draw his plan. My brother, 4 years, you don't have time. You don't have time. Look, really, you don't have 4 years. You have like 3 years. Yeah. So the things you want to do, if you go and do consultation economy, I don't blame you, fine. But Charlie, your things must be drawn. This 24 economy thing, it was the heart of your campaign. The biggest problem for this country, when JM was coming first time as president in 2012, is still the biggest problem when Akufo-Addo was coming. It's still the biggest problem today, which is youth unemployment. So you don't have the time. Some good plan, this 24. And the last time I sat here and explained that when someone says they want to do a 24 economy, I'm not one of those who will say that, oh, it cannot be done. But it is not child's play. It is serious thinking and investment. You have to choose one or two sectors and say you want to revolutionize that sector. Tomato, I said Ghana is apparently the biggest consumer of tomato paste in the whole world. Paste, number one, is a multi-billion-dollar industry. How do you close that gap? Import substitution. You need to first thing get scientists. If you check the history of South Korea, all the nations that transformed, bro, it is serious grain, nitty-gritty work.
Yeah.
You want to go in tomato production, first thing, how are your seeds produced? What kind of seeds do you have? You can pick seeds from Ukraine. It might not suit here. You might get scientists to do inbreeding. It will take some time to have the perfect seed. Then when you have the perfect seed, how many, extension officers do you have? You invest in training, escalate their numbers. Where are you going to plant the tomatoes? You have a serious program where thousands of acres can be gotten with some executive orders without much obstruction. you get the production going on. What is road network from the farm to the center? If you want to export to the airport, serious stuff. And that is where you can have things running around 24/7. So because these things require a lot of work, I was expecting that at least some 1 or 2 areas would have been targeted, some investments would have been mentioned that they will go there and all that. Another missed opportunity, and by the way, I know Busitano and the rest are working on.
Yeah.
We don't have much time. They must hurry up.
Apparently, 2 days ago, he was even in Parliament.
Yes.
During the post-budget workshop.
So I'm sure I will
to
talk
educate
about
you on what the But why was it missing in the budget? When we
but they said it will come later.
Yes.
But my point is that we don't have too much time. Because when you even start to lay out the policy, you must first do sensitization.
Yeah.
Then you move to the next step of trying to get the actors to training. It takes even time from policy declaration to impact and implementation impact. One other missed one is the exemption policy.
Okay.
You see, bro, because of politics, sometimes we say things that place, like Kwekubaku will say, on the emotional keyboards of people. Oh, Ghana, we don't have money, and yet they're giving tax clearance exemption of $500 million. Can you imagine what that $500 million can do? Stop this tax exemption. No, when you go and check, in the real sector, those who are giving jobs to our youth, the industries. I know one guy, a friend, an Indian. He has a company that produces plastics. If you go to his factory, you see Ghanaians working. This is the real world, though. They've come to work in the morning. The guy has built another factory. He went to source loan from Germany. Millions of dollars. Bought equipment to start another one next, more or less an expansion. Once he does that, he's going to employ ×2 of what he has now. Guess what? The machines have been at the port for the past whatever number of years. He went for the loan because of the one district, one factory policy, where if you show documentation and registered, you get exemption of duties on your machine. He has to pay millions of dollars on the machine. And because he didn't factor that into the business plan, his machines are stuck at the port.
Why was it stuck at the port?
Because he wanted to take advantage of the one district, one factory program, where if they come and inspect and it's a Ghana factory and all that, whether it's an expansion new one, if the machines you brought in should have incurred a tax of let's say $1 million, is waived.
It's waived, yes.
Those are the exemptions that came to Parliament.
Yes.
And then because generally the word is exemption, people playing on people's sentiments say that they are charging us taxes. They say the system is hard, but they are exempting people from paying taxes.
But why did he put the cart before the horse?
No, but it was a government policy then.
Yes.
So the policy came into place before he went for the loan.
Okay.
So really, had it not been for the numbers, Parliament, when the 8th Parliament, the numbers were tight.
Yes.
So that's why, like I said, and forgive me, but when people are in opposition, sometimes you can put in some messaging and stuff when in reality it is not so.
Yes.
But you do it for perception, so that you can get a result. The result is that people come on your side. When in the real life, when I say the real life, when you go down there, in terms of what is needed, that thing is really important. So if you remember, they mentioned some 1 or 2 companies that they said were associated with President Kufuor, some is in law, they said some hotel, something hotel, but they also wanted exemption.
Yes.
This is my case. If you think
so, per his calculation,
yes,
by the time Parliament would finally pass the law.
No, the law was actually passed.
No,
sorry, the policy.
The policy.
The one
that's what the policy was in there. But
yes.
But Parliament, you remember Afenimaki has been on this exemption thing. That's also different.
Forgive me, it's not actually law by our democratic arrangement.
Yes.
If government wants to give an exemption, the exemption must be brought to Parliament for Parliament to allow it. So because the numbers were tight for us, they started. I'll not say noise, but they started making a case that we need money, so we're not going to give exemptions.
Yes.
So when those exemptions were forwarded to Parliament, I think by the Trade Minister, they didn't treat it well at the Finance Committee, and more or less it hanged. That's the point I'm making. But
is that the same that Afenimaki has been on? He's been consistently talking about this.
I think it's that one.
Thing.
Yes. And in the past, Rawlings, almost all governments have given tax exemptions to critical factories and areas so that they can set up.
True.
But my point is that because the the impression was created that, apart from the genuine ones in quote, there are a few that have been smuggled in.
Okay.
They don't deserve tax exemption. It's because they are close to the former president's family and all kinds of things. This is my issue. My issue is that I know at least one, and there are many, who is in the real sector. When you go to his factory now, if I drive you now, you will see Ghanaians who are working to get something to feed their families. This man has the opportunity to create ×2 of the number. And by the way, sometimes you can be caught in the euphoria of winning power. President Mahama and all NDC people, this free advice to them. Don't think you are loved so much, that's why you want power by a huge margin. People in the real world, life is not easy stuff. If the years pass and there's not change in their lives, you'll be shocked. The same people who brought Mahama in, they sent him out 2016. Some of them are around. So I would like to plead, these are opportunities we should not miss again. Sometimes the politics must come down. These tax exemptions, I'll beg the new government, they should quickly go and look at the list. If they like, they should send people to the factories. For every factory, look at B5 or something, that iron rod.
Yes.
The fear I have is that some of them, our neighbors are giving them this offers. The Ivory Coast, Benin, go and check. So some factories, when they come and they realize that government is not managing them, quickly, by the time you realize, they've opened a branch in the Ivory Coast. And then their youth are getting opportunities. So beyond the politics of, I left a primary balance of this, what about your inflation, your gross international reserve is 3 months, but you were not paying, all this. The question we have to ask ourselves, after 3-4 years, the guy who went to shout, Ketepre, mama, how is his life compared to when he was singing to that 2-3 years down the line? Okay. If you miss that opportunity, it can be tough for you.
All right, so let's quickly do this. So your very good friend, Prince Derek Kaji, for some reason, he hasn't sent a text in a while, but you've been able to get him to send a text. So he says, regards to my brother Okoboy, who, by the way, is looking more handsome in opposition.
Yes.
That's what he says.
It's grace. Okay. It's not the government. It's grace.
I'm getting many calls about the absence of his signature, bow tie. Oh, okay.
In opposition, the temperature, you feel hotter.
Oh, actually, you observe it.
In opposition, you feel
the
hot.
kitchen is hotter.
The thought of being in opposition itself generates heat.
2 months.
So no bow tie. So power comes.
Yes.
Okay. So tell him to call me after the program for the rest of the message. Regards to my brother Okoboy, who. Okay. So I think it's just a repetition. He said you should call him after the program.
Absolutely.
There's quite a number of other messages too. Let me do this quickly. So Reverend Intim Fojo, the former Deputy Education Minister, he was here yesterday.
Okay.
He sends a message. He says, the NDC panelists, that's you, he said you've misled the public and that a reform and upgrade of teachers' qualification at colleges of education from diploma to degree was the initiative of the MPP. We started and graduated the first batch of BEd teachers and made minimum entry requirement of teachers degree instead of diploma. So that's from Reverend Intim Fojo.
Okay.
And Alhaji Hadi from Pig Farm says, good morning, my brother. I'm particularly happy with the 2025 budget simply because it gives hope to Ghanaian youth and business friendly. And it's business friendly to our business environment. I'm also to see that assemblymen and women are going to be paid for the first time. Our free SHS has now gotten a dedicated source of funding. And that is great to hear. Sanitary pads this time around is going to be supplied to the girl child in various schools. I salute President Mahama for delivery on these promises. All nuisance taxes are gone, and that is great. There's quite a number of other messages as well. So please stay with us. This is Good Morning Ghana on the Metro Television. My name is Aldo Moore. I'm here with Dr. Bernard Okoboy, who is a former MP for Lejokuku, a former board chair, Kwale Bu Teaching Hospital, and also a former health minister, and also the MP for the Sanglerego constituency. That's the Honorable Ataisa. They're both here. So stay with us, and the show continues.
Who are you? Who are you? Charlie, I'll be you from the future. Who doesn't sleep on that slice of bread called mattress anymore? Don't some slippers then follow me. It is part of the mattress we did the front there. Yeah? I'll be the mattress where the dead go. Wait, what are you doing? damage at all. Not only durable, but also super comfortable. Come on, try it.
Nothing day like Ash Foam. Enjoy full body support and unparalleled comfort for a restful sleep.
Don't forget your keys.
Get the premium sleep experience with mattresses from Ash Foam. Visit any of our showrooms nationwide or at ashfoam.com.
Michelle say, fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Chocolate Toothpaste. Healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Chocolate Toothpaste. Sankofa.
Yenchi. Kel Chocolate Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
I'm a brand manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Attention all farmers, are you ready to take your crops to the next level? Introducing 3 effective organic composts that will revolutionize your farming practices. ACAP, KCAP and Iricor brings to you the ultimate solution for your fertilizer needs. Introducing the ACAP Grade A, KCAP Equiafua Jinkwa, and the Iricop with cocoa blends, palm blend, and mulch. These are made from locally sourced municipal solid waste, and these are the perfect choice for sustainable farming. Join the organic revolution today. Boost your crop yield, improve soil health, and support sustainable farming practices. Choose ACAP, KCAP, and Iricop organic compost for a greener and bountiful harvest. For your purchase and more information, call the numbers on your screen. Our products are endorsed by Cocoa Board, Planting for Food and Jobs, and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
we come the system is. You're still live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television, and today I told you that we have a surprise guest, and the guest is here. Dr. Bernard Okoboy is a former MP for Lejukuku, and also our good friend, MP for Sangleregu, who is Honorable Ataisa. We've been looking at the budget. We've been having a conversation about the budget in the last 1.5 hours or so. It's important because it's about bread and butter. It's about life and livelihoods, and so. Please don't feel that we're over concentrating or we're talking a lot about the budget. It's extremely important. Anyway, so let's look at the issue of. Is there something you want to say briefly?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that we can move on and look at
Galamsey. I think it's refreshing to hear Dr. Okoboy.
Yeah.
Like I indicated earlier, he's one of the few. Fine gentlemen we have in the MPP.
Speaking of which, a guy has sent me a message.
Okay.
He's called David Edu.
Okay.
And Doc, this one is to you. He says, "Good morning, Mr. Moro. Even though I have a different political ideology from Dr. Okoboy, yet he's one person I listen to attentively and learn from despite his slight political biases." Oh, it started well.
I mean, we are having slight.
Yes.
It's not injurious.
Yes.
It's not fatal.
Very nationalistic.
Yes.
With few punches here and there. And I must agree, especially competition, wherever there is competition, there's efficiency. And the two political parties have over the period evolved as a result of competition. So I've always maintained that the purpose of change is not to say we don't like you, but as to the benefits of hindsight, things you could have done better, so that when you get the next opportunity to improve your performance.
Yeah.
Having said that, it is important to also mention that as a result of the elections or the outcomes of the elections, we are all aware now that review doesn't mean cancel. To the extent that we have an allocation to continue the legacy project or the expanded version of the free SH policy that was implemented by the previous administration on a large scale. I think that the continuation of that policy shows government is indeed a continuum.
Yeah.
And we must commend our democracy. It's a victory to our democracy. Then I still maintain the fact that I was drawing the attention to the fact that the NDC government converted teacher training colleges to colleges of education, like a tertiary institution. That was what I seek to mention.
Okay.
And social intervention. Now the budget has also reviewed. There has been this old debate as to which party has introduced social intervention more.
This matter
the
again.
NDC has never introduced a social intervention. Now I think that debate
is settled.
Is settled.
Okay.
Part over bank. Yes, I agree with Doc. We must try as much as possible, because one thing that is killing this country is our import volumes. If you look at even the BDCs alone, how much they need for refined oil, crude, it always puts pressure on our currency. So the low-hanging fruits that we can use, at least to free the pressure on the CD, will be some of these things. Identifying our competitive advantages that we can have over our neighboring countries, or things that we can do locally. So it is my belief that, and I'm sure the education minister is also having that same thought, that this PAD program should be done locally, because we have allocated about 272 million Ghana cedis or so just for the PAD program. So if we are able to do all locally, where government will provide the needed protection and stimulus packages for industries within that sector. I know a company in Ghana, in Accra here, that can do part to meet our local demand. So such companies are available that we can use to build their capacity. And I pray that this becomes an annual program, and also future government can exhibit same. So it is important to make sure that local content is adhered to, and the full Ghanaian benefit out of this policy.
But the point you're making is that you are still fully committed to the tax exemption policy. Is that what you're saying?
The manner in which it was done.
Okay.
You see, Doc,
so the principle you don't have a problem.
I don't have problem.
It is how it is done.
That's what I'm saying. That as a country, we must identify our competitive advantages to exploit. That's why you do your risk analysis to measure where you can do better and all those things. So I don't have problem. If we do our SWOT analysis to know this is our strengths, these are our weaknesses, these are our opportunities out there and the threats. So I don't have problem if we are investing locally. But if you observe over a period, the tax exemption regime has always been used by political parties, not for the benefit of the nation. And Doc, with all due respect, if you know the quantum of tax exemption over the last 8 years, and this policy of 1D, 1F, and you still look at our unemployment rate, it tells you that there's lack of policy harmonization. Because the purpose of doing that is to reduce your import cover. Yet we still have huge imports. Unemployment is still going up. So what's the purpose? Because if the idea is that trade volumes, we must reduce importation, it should reflect in our exchange rate stability. It should reflect in our import values. And it should also reflect in our employment.
You don't think it's a bit premature?
It's not. Okay. It's not, because this flagship program of 1D, 1F is not a second-term program. It's about 8 years is quite enough to measure success of projects. Okay. So I'm not against, in principle, the concept. And look at even the timing of the last one that was rejected. Look at the timing. So it was virtually like a campaign-sponsored sort of thing. So I think that as a country, we must give clear indications or reforms as to how these tax exemptions are given.
Okay.
Not necessarily, and people must merit tax exemptions.
Okay.
And we must have policy deliverables and milestones for every exemptions that we give.
Okay.
If it's in the area of tomato, like you suggested, there must be a complete value chain adjacencies. We must see it reflect in our importation of tomato paste.
Okay.
We must also see it reflecting in its contribution to our GDP and also its impact on our employment situation.
Okay.
If not, what's the essence of giving tax exemption? So, and then the 24-hour economy. Look, let me quote from my predecessor. You cannot wake up somebody who pretends to be sleeping. That's the truth.
Are you the one who took out my brother?
Yes. Oh, that's ABF Husseini's successor. Yeah.
So
that's his successor.
I'm saying that you cannot wake up someone who pretends to be
He's also very good at saying proverbs.
But you cannot come and eliminate someone who gives proverbs and be giving us proverbs. You remind us of our pain.
No, because the point is that
But you didn't like the proverbs. I like the proverbs.
I like the proverbs, but anytime he says proverbs, it reminds you of my friend that is gone.
Oh, I get it.
So
now.
my pain comes back.
Oh, okay. Oh, why you ABA were very good. We're good.
Oh, he was a good friend. But
I see.
He has potential. I mean, I'm sure he's a warm person like he.
Oh yes,
I'm a very warm person. So my issue is that right from the campaign time, I think we had always maintained that the 24-hour economy is a policy framework, not necessarily targeted at a line item. I'm sure coming through the budget, I don't think the expectation was that you must see a policy line or a line item called 24 hours. The concept is this, and let me use this opportunity to explain the brief concept. And after the budget was presented and people started raising questions about absence of the 24-hour economy, then during the post-budget conference, Mr. Gusitano came to give presentation on how it will roll out. And we also know, if you ask, what was the concept behind free zones? What was the concept? You will see in a budget, prior to the implementation of the free zone concept, a budget line called free zone.
You see, you're not getting where Kobo is coming from. You see, there's context to this.
Yes, I'll bring you the context.
No, just a second. Okay. There's context to this. Then here we're talking electoral political context, right?
I understand.
So he's saying that when given the kind of I don't want to use noise.
Yes.
But given the kind of prominence.
Yes, we gave to it.
Exactly. And the fact that, like, let me use this word, it was actually supposed to be at the heart of the economic transformation you had promised.
And it is.
So the expectation naturally, just like when they talked about free SHS, free rate, we saw it in the budget.
But you see, that's where you are getting it wrong.
Okay.
Free SHS is a policy.
Yes.
This is a framework.
Yes.
It's a combination of several sectors that will generate that level of economy
I
that
don't
we
disagree
want.
with you.
So you can't.
No, I don't disagree with you. I'm saying that the whole idea that you want to usher Ghana into a world of a 24-hour economy and how that is important to you, at least, remember the budget is in two folds.
Yes.
You have the statement,
yes,
and then you have your economic and fiscal policies,
yes,
right? And then you can drill down and look at fiscal tables and so on. So naturally, the expectation people had was that at least tell us that you haven't forgotten about your own.
And we have
in the budget statement.
It is in the budget statement.
How many paragraphs?
No, but it doesn't need to be paragraphs.
No, I'm asking because I just need to know how much prominence was given.
First of all,
we
started the administration.
It was actually announced that it will come later. That's
yes. And on Tuesday, a comprehensive policy outlines will be presented to Parliament.
Okay.
It will be launched formally on Tuesday.
Okay.
And like I said earlier, if we didn't take it serious, we appointed somebody in charge of that.
No, I don't think he's suggesting.
No, I'm coming.
He's not suggesting so at all.
No, I'm coming. I'm saying that the level at which we take it, first of all, we appointed a senior presidential advisor in charge of the 24-hour economy.
Yeah.
And we had always maintained that this one is a form of like a program where we invite private sector to participate.
Yes.
One, we said that we'll introduce the smart metering program, and it is under the ECGA, the energy sector, where they are talking about metering and the smart metering program. It's captured. Then we talked about giving tax exemptions and those. It's also in the budget. People that agree to participate in the 24-hour economy will get tax rebates, tax exemption on selected imports. We are also talking about the smart metering program. We are also talking about providing adequate security for those people. So it's just like the concept of the free zones, where you know that they say they get a land or an area, a free zone area. And if you want to take advantage of the tax rebates in that sphere, then you go into the Ghana Free Zones Enclave. It's the same. So the 24-hour economy is a program where people who are desirous to do a night economy can take advantages of government stimulus packages. And that is what will drive employment. And for me, and like President Mahama has always maintained, this is not expected to be a public sector driven type of economy that we want. We want to build an export-led economy. And through that, we are going to establish next month the Ghana Accelerated Development Authority, headed by the president himself. And the idea is that we want to provide that conducive enabling environment for the private sector to sign up onto. Then we can use to know our export potentials, and then we reduce the import bill. That's the concept. Because one, we believe that Ghana has a lot of opportunities out there that we can tap into to reduce our import bill. We also believe that the country has capacity that can absorb our team and unemployed group. We also believe that the private sector needs transparent tax exemption regime where it is not just given for political expediency or party people. We believe that private sector that can help us reduce the import bill should be given the platform to benefit from the 24-hour economy. So people's expectation was to see a budget line with a cost. Because if you listen to them, they said they can't see any cost associated to the 24-hour. But I'm saying that if you go to the energy sector, the metering program is stated clearly there. If you go to the our fiscal tables, the tax exemption regime is stated there.
It's all connected,
so it's connected. It's an overall economic model that we are developing, and not just a sectoral one. So the expectation shouldn't be that you see a line item. And finally, look, I don't have problem with 1D, 1F in principle. Yes, as the name suggests, it means that every district should have a factory.
Yes.
So the expectation was that the MPP had done some level of findings or research work that suggests every district, and this is its economic opportunity, then they can establish that factory to ensure value addition. So, in principle, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
But speaking from Sandargo Municipal, I am not aware of any factory that was established.
We left that one for you, so that when you come, you do that one.
So, oftentimes, and this is not particular to any regime, my problem has always been that, first of all, we don't have policy continuity properly. I don't know whether it's because we don't have a national economic plan or the national development plan. Every government comes to start a new thing with a disconnected outcome.
Yeah.
So we don't know what exactly that we are
looking for. It's simple. It's because, if you put the politics aside, it's because we have refused to empower the National Development Planning Commission.
So I think this is
it's a wake-up call.
Yeah, it's a wake-up call for us because, look, unemployment is serious out there.
I know.
And Doc has said it earlier.
Okay.
People are suffering.
That's fine.
And it's a threat to the political class. That's what I would just say.
All right, Doc, I think we can move on.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just simply say that, during campaign, the rhetoric is quite easy to churn out. But real life task is not easy. I remember when we asked what's the definition for 24-hour economy, we were not told of a night economy. They were told that it's 133. One job, 3 shifts, 3 people.
The one is supposed to be back from sabbatical with a renewed and refreshed sense of humor.
Well, there are so many jobs that is only one.
Okay.
We are looking for the 3 all we have to do is to convert it to the 3 shifts. For example, if you go to GBC right now, if you have 6,000 workers, their potential is actually 18,000. For each person,
anyway,
let them be 2 other shifts.
You're getting a lot of accolades and compliments. Let me read some. Well, like a sponsor, they will. Anyway, so there's a gentleman called Patrick. Patrick says that good to see Dr. Bernard Okoboy once again after the elections. Tell him I know, and I now live in his constituency, Party or Patrick Te Daseno, formerly of Unity Hall, KNUST. Good morning. Okay, Patrick, thank you very much for the message. And this one here says that, okay, so Salamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. He says Dr. Okoboy may probably have my votes if I were in his constituency. His way of politics is different. Even if he's biting his opponent, he makes sure he sedates it with cogent argument. We need more of him on your show. Honorable Ataisa will be an asset to his government too. Good morning, Ghana. Sani Salihu, thank you very much for that. Now, this one is, okay, so this one from Prosper Ashikwe, Salam Down based. He says, good morning, Moro. Isa Ata, he prefers Ataisa. He's a solid guy. I missed Dr. Okoboy Bernard on the show. Massa mentioned it like Dr. Randy Abe does. Bernard. Yes, it's supposed to be Bernard. Actually, technically speaking, it's supposed to be Bernard. So phonetically, it's supposed to be Bernard. I totally agree. Just like Alex, we say Alex, and there's Alex. So I agree with you. So it's always refreshing to watch him on the show. Great guy. Prosper, thank you very much for that. And this one from Musa says, Musa Adbatwa in Asawase says, Mr. Moro, kudos to Okoboy for his fair and balanced approach to the 2025 Ejumapa budget. I've always known him to be objective in his analysis, even though at times he can't help but sprinkle a bit of snob appeal propaganda technique to influence public perception. That said, he's a genuinely good guy, just unfortunately in the wrong political camp. For the first time, this budget really resonates with the youth, market women and business owners across the country. It's clear that their concerns were heard and people actually celebrating because it eases their burden. Musa, thanks for your message. Ambassador Sampi Yali also sent a message. Okay, good. Oh, Nana Komia is also watching us. He says I should say good morning to you. Doc,
he
says Nana Komia to say yes. He says he's also happy that we're now on radio, 94.1, and that he's always advocated that it has happened. So 94.1, that's 94.1 FM. So in case you want to listen to us on radio, please do 94.1 FM. And on this one, Ambassador Sampiali says, I have known Honorable Ataisa as a quite politically unaffected accountant. Like many, I was surprised that he was able to uproot the almighty oak of Proverb King. Equally, I was itchy when I saw him on TV as a communicator for the NDC because they know you only do the numbers, you don't talk, you know. At this point, I've had to withdraw my apprehensions and misconceptions about him. He's deep with a lot of common sense. Alhaji Hadi is back. Alhaji Hadi, I've read your message. I read it about 30 minutes ago. Alhaji Hadi, I've read your message already. And this one from okay, so I think I've looked at this message. Okay, so we move on. We move, isn't it?
We move.
All right. So let's look at Galamsey. We have only, I don't know how we intend to do this, but just 10 minutes. I think we can just briefly, five each, and then we can move on. But I'm sure by now we're all aware of what the Lands and Natural Resources Minister has been doing. And if you look at today's daily graphic, I'm talking about his fight against Galamsey. Now it says government revokes small-scale mining licenses. Action affects permits issued after December 7. And Timothy Mbengbe is reporting that the government has revoked all small-scale mining licenses that were issued by the previous government after December 7 elections. This is because the process leading to their issuance was rushed, and as such, did not follow due process or due procedure. The Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Manolama Kofi-Boa, who made this known at a press briefing in Accra yesterday, said the revocation of the licenses was anchored on the findings of two committees, the Working Committee on Illegal Activities in Forest Reserves and Water Bodies, and the Ministerial Advisory Group on Illegal Mining. Again, he said the action was in line with the government's commitment to take far-reaching measures to sanitize the small-scale mining sector. The media briefing was held in collaboration with the Minister of Environment, Science and Technology, Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, and the Chief Executive Officer of the Environmental Protection Authority, Professor Nana Ama Brown Kuluche. In addition to the revocation of licenses issued after December 7 last year, the minister also said a technical committee had been set up to review all small-scale mining licenses in the country. He said the committee, which had membership from the Ministries of Lands and Natural Resources, that's MEST, the EPA, Minerals Commission, Forestry Commission, the Water Resources Commission, as well as the Office of Attorney General, was expected to review all small-scale mining licenses to determine their validity. Among other things, the board said the committee would audit the existing licenses to ensure that they were properly acquired and met all operational requirements. He explained that the committee had been tasked to audit all licenses to ensure that they were properly acquired, that due process was followed, and that they meet all conditions of continuous validity with respect to environmental body, water bodies, forest reserves, and land preservation standards. Now, Mr. Boa also said the ministries responsible for lands and environment, were working together to establish a new classification for the small-scale mining regime. He said a new regime would introduce a medium small-scale sector to serve as a bridge between the small and large-scale sectors. But for me, the fundamental question here is, what are we going to do to those who issued these licenses to the miners, yet did not follow due process? What are we going to do to them? Are we just going to cancel licenses because they paid for it?
Yeah.
Are we just going to cancel these licenses and let the persons who were involved in the issuance of these licenses go scot-free? Or what do we intend to do? For me, that's my fundamental question. But yes, your take on this matter.
Okay, so it is refreshing to see a renewed commitment to the fight against Galamsey, because this poses an existential threat to the very survival of every citizen along the mining communities. And Doc, as a medical practitioner, knows the health hazards it poses on all of us. And I have always maintained that for the fight against Galamsey to succeed, there must be a political will. It is interesting to note that because of the seriousness to which political parties attach to the fight against Galamsey, a president at a point had to put his presidency on the line.
Right.
Because of the seriousness to which they had degraded our lands.
Yeah.
So for me, any effort that is aimed at combating these menace should be celebrated. Now, it is also important to acknowledge and commend the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources with other sector ministers in that space for the Blue Sea Initiative.
Okay.
Because I think that's the concept.
Yeah.
Because illegal mining, if you look at, first of all, there was a health impact analysis that was done by various hospitals in 2024 that indicated that babies were born with deformities in some mining communities as a result of illegal mining and pollution of our water bodies. So health impact analysis suggests that it causes a lot of deformities in unborn babies, and even our water bodies. Cost of treatment in terms of economic analysis that was done by the Water Resource Center suggested that in terms of how much we need to treat our water has increased, and that is what is even driving the cost of pipe-borne water even in Ghana, because cost of treatment has increased as a result of the invasion of the illegal miners in our water reserves. So for that matter, based on economic even impact analysis, our health impact analysis, even financial impact analysis was done by the PMMC that suggested that Ghana last year alone, we exported $11 billion worth of gold, and only 67% of that came to Ghana. The rest was as a result of illegal mining. In fact, in Dubai alone, out of the total export volumes of 4.6 billion, only 3.4 billion came to Ghana. The rest went to illegal miners. So every effort that is aimed at fighting, look at the color of our water body. Oops. In fact, a report was done by Raymond Aqua and his team that suggested...
You mean Erastus Asaridonko?
Asaridonko.
Yes. No, Raymond Aqua is now with the finance ministry.
Okay, good. Congratulations. That suggested that 75% of our water body along the mining areas has been taken over by illegal mining. To this extent, every effort...
Oh, look at this. It looks like coffee.
Yes, every effort that is meant to tackle this menace should be celebrated. Now, let's look at this whole regime of licensing. I think it's a worry because, like I said, political will is key in the fight against corruption. While there is no political will, you cannot fight it. At a point, prior to the 2024 election, if you remember, TUC and other labor unions declared nationwide strike because they considered illegal mining a national security crisis. And for that matter, they will lay down their tools. They have to take the intervention of religious leaders and the Office of Government Machinery to plead with them to rescind their decision. And I remember Professor Jampo at a point had disagreements with the leadership of TUC. To that extent, political will to fight it is number one. All other things are just an addition. So we must commend the minister for terminating the licenses of all those people that got their license approved after the December 7th election. And I think that every other government project that happened should be reviewed. And the second one too is that I'm also happy with the retention rate in the various communities, because the fight against Galamsey can never succeed if you don't let the communities own it. Now, licensing regime will start right at the district level with DISEC in participation and our traditional rulers, where you must get the approval right from that place before it gets to the minister in Accra. And I think it will make sure that the communities get full benefit of the gold reserve and other mineral reserve in their communities. To that end, the licensing regime is good for me. And finally, let me also commend the minister for the Sea Guard concept, where we position people. Military cannot do it all, because 9 out of the forest, the no-go areas in the forest reserve that was declared in 2024, we have won back 7, leaving 2 that we are still battling. And if we have river gas at these water bodies, I think it is something that
we'll wait to see whether it will deter them.
Yes,
we'll see how it goes.
We'll wait to see. I pray that it works.
Okay, Doc.
Yeah, my brother. Before I come to this, let me quickly say that the fear of giving power sometimes to a political party is that people without control try to take over control or to assume power they don't have. The fear of giving power to a political party is that people without control, who are unhinged, people who can't control themselves, who might have some excessive behavior, might try to take advantage of the power that has been given to the whole group and misbehave. This morning, President Mama has a missed call. His conduct, many people have said that his conduct and the way he's approached things this time is way better than the first time he came. Many have said that the way he's gone about things, the integrity, the things he promised, I'll cancel betting tax, I'll do this. People have said that it looks like this time he is trying to go by his words. The behavior of people like Jakpa, yeah, one bad granite can mess all the ones. If the same NDC, who in opposition said it was not even right for a policeman to hold a gun at anywhere Ghanaians were, why is the country quiet? Why do we live in a country where a man sitting with wife and kids has bandits enter with AK-47? My brother, those who said a pistol was too big are today quiet when AK-47. What's happening in Ghana? Is President Obama a coup leader, a military leader? Please, President Obama's conduct, the way he handles himself, it doesn't look like the way Jakpa is behaving. And please, they say that sometimes it is not what evil men do, but it is the good men who keep quiet. There are good men in the NDC, I know. I know a lot of good men. If I don't know at all, at least I know one of my brothers who is part of the NDC government, who is Dr. Abi. This morning, I want to tell Dr. Abi, as for him, I know he's a very reasonable person. Those who are near Jakpa, they should talk to him. This is how countries get destabilized. People can start arming themselves. Imagine if, what's the name, Governor Addison, he has a son who is also aggressive, who treats them as bandits or intruders. I mean, we don't need this. And like I said, if you are national security, let's see how we can channel our energy into making the Ghanaian better off. There are people who are smuggling, what's the name, recently the opioid drug, how do you call it, tramadol,
yes,
into our territories, messing up the life of the youth. Jakpa can channel his energy and aggression into making sure that he stops that. There are people who are bringing things and avoiding taxes at the ports.
Yeah.
Jakpa should see how he will deploy his strength to stop the hemorrhage. There are people who are smuggling. Recently, there was mention of smuggling of fuel and all that. My brother Eduji was saying these are places where we can make savings and save some lives. This tagri machoism, they belong to the medieval era from 1666 to 1896. I mean, look at this fine guy. These things playing out. Kalashnikov with soldiers entering people in the night. Does it look like honorable? Please, good men should talk. Let me come to Galamsey.
A time is up.
Oh, just 1 minute.
1 minute, okay, that's fine.
What I want to say is that when sometimes you make your opponent the problem, if your opponent leaves, you might be hurt. The impression was created that all of our problem with Galamsey was the MPP. You can see that it's not easy for the minister. The reality is that it is an industry with so much potential and resources and money.
Yeah.
There are some who are willing to play the game fairly. There are some who don't care. The real job is to make sure that we train people and we do enforcement. We should shy away from this attitude of, oh, it is this party, it's that party. It's not parties, in quote, that do mining. It's businessmen. They are motivated by profit. Some are ready to cut corners. We should all come around, come together, stop this MPP, NDC, and find a way to put the right people in place. All these guards and things, fine, maybe the motive and the intention is good. But if a soldier with a gun, and look, this mining stuff is people's bread and butter. That's why some of them go to the forest and other places armed.
Yeah.
And if you understand the industry, you be careful to send an ordinary civilian who has been trained as a water guard.
Yeah.
I say I'm not saying don't do it, but be careful.
Okay.
Because there are some who are ready to kill you
to
protect their income.
That's
and
fine.
I believe Ghana has what it takes to deal with Galamsey. Mining has a potential to create jobs. But it can also harm our environment. The real task is how to find the balance.
Okay. So a former aide to the First Lady, Her Excellency Lordina Mahama, that said where he says, Okoboy is a fine gentleman, But just that he finds himself in the wrong political party, NDC started converting teacher training colleges into tertiary institutions. That was the basis for which the then government sought to replace allowances with student loans to ensure equity with their colleague students in Winneba and UCC. Reverend Fojo is misrepresenting facts. I think you guys are talking about two different things. So, but next we'll talk about it maybe tomorrow. But it says, tell Okoboy that people parading as national security harassed me for 8 months in 2017. Okay. All right. So, and then this one says, Salaam alaikum. Dr. Okoboy is saying, what Dr. Okoboy is saying is true about the industries like that of the Indian company. Please let us assist to clear the machinery at the port for the 24-hour program.
Celebrating hard work, commitment, dedication, and impact. The Metro Sports Awards 8 in 8 seeks to identify and reward the 8 most impactful sports personalities the last 8 years. Visit our website and all social media platforms to cast your votes. The nominees are Honorable